thought, economic doctrines, or political thought, sociological thought, like that. Now we are going to place Baba Saheb Ambedkar as an economist. He was the only economist who was trained in two Western universities, one in Columbia, the other in London School of Economics. Many people do not know that he was neither a classical economist nor a neoclassical. Chairperson, Professor T.R. Chandrasekhar, my co-panelist Rajendra Chennai, Professor Narendra, Professor Somsekhar, colleagues and friends, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Except this, I can understand because being a Telugu person, close to Kannada, having same cultural roots, pardon me if I speak in this language. I am grateful to Professor Somsekhar, my very good friend, for persuading to come over here. I was very busy in preparing economic and social justice report, first of its kind, and I sent it for printing to Chandigarh. I said I cannot come. After 2 decades, I'm coming to Mysuru. I used to come quite often. When Professor Kanakaraj and Talwar, Professor, several friends, Madaya and others were there in Mysuru University. And particularly Professor Parvathamma, the first Dalit woman professor of India. In fact, she gave me some writings, unpublished writings of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Sometime 93, when I invited her to Visakhapatnam, she brought me some unpublished writings. They were in very different shape. And then I was introduced to this. I am given the topic, economic thoughts of Ambedkar. If there are any economic students, maybe Professor Chandrasekhar is a professor of economics. In the economics discipline, we have a very important, also in political science and other social sciences, we have a separate important paper on thought, economic doctrines, or political thought, sociological thought, like that. Now we are going to place Baba Saheb Ambedkar as an economist. He was the only economist who was trained in two Western universities, one in Columbia, the other in London School of Economics. Many people do not know that he was neither a classical economist nor a neoclassical. He was in the transition because students of economics know that the first professor of economics was Alfred Marshall, 1890. And his student was Keynes. A.C. Pigou and others were there. And neoclassical came later, and Keynesianism in the 1936 thereafter. Why I am saying this is that there are some people who are trying to bring him into the neoclassical as if he is interested in private sector, as if he is interested in whatever. They wanted to project him as of that kind of a free trader, laissez-faire economy. He was never. In fact, something was happening in the first quarter of the 20th century. Professor John Dewey, his mentor, teacher, everybody knows that. Robinson, historian, Dubio, sociology, and several others were trying to establish a new school of social research. The new school of social research has relations with Frankfurt School. It is neither, as I told you, it is neither classical nor neoclassical. They were trying to find out a new way of thinking, new way of projecting the problems of the society at that time. This was during the First War period. After the First War, this school has come up. Interestingly, Rangayana may be interested. It was the new school that has started the performing arts, that has produced Marlon Brando. You know Marlon Brando, the greatest, and Ali Wooden, bicycle thieves. What I am trying to say is that there is some kind of a churning that was going on in Colombia, and Babasaheb Ambedkar was placed at that time. And then one of his teachers was Harold Lasky, was also part of this new school of research. And later he shifted to London School of Economics. Harold Lasky's another great product was Dr. K.R. Narayanan. You know the story? Dr. K.R. Narayanan was a student of Harold Lasky. He gave a letter to Jawaharlal Nehru. Of course, everybody knows, political science people generally say, in Jawaharlal Nehru's cabinet, one chair was kept vacant. Because any time, Lasky might come and sit there. In other words, that was the period when Fabian socialists were emerging. Who are the Fabian socialists? You just type Fabian socialists, you will get educate, organize, agitate given by J.B. Shaw. George Bernard Shaw, Webbs, and others were responsible in starting the London School of Economics. Why I am giving this is the background under which Babasaheb Ambedkar has been trained. Unless you understand the background, contextualize the scholar, you will not be able to understand. The people keep on writing, some are trying to put him here and he's anti-Marxist, he's anti-this and that. That's not correct. In fact, if you are a student of economics, or if you are really a student, research student, what do you look at in a PhD dissertation? There are two. In fact, we can divide Babasaheb Ambedkar. I haven't prepared, sorry, Samsekhar Garu. I haven't prepared any structured speech except some notes, scribbling. We can broadly divide Babasaheb Ambedkar's writings, or particularly economic writings. There are 20 volumes, 17 volumes, 20 books and all that. Only except volume 6, all other subjects. But you will find we can broadly divide Babasaheb Ambedkar writings into 3 groups. One is academic writings, postgrad MA dissertation, PhD dissertation, postdoctoral dissertation, and writings, articles in journals, public economic journals. The second is a tract of the time. Dr. Ambedkar is one who never kept quiet. Whenever an issue arises, he immediately reacts and writes a book or a paper. So, tracts of the time. There are writings in tracts of the time. And there are also statements, his Constituent Assembly debates, occasional writings. And I am talking only about economic writings. The political science and other writings I am not touching because that's not my area. You have asked me to only talk only in terms of the economic thought of Babasaheb Ambedkar. And in this context, Professor Ambirajan gave a memorial lecture in Madras University 1980. I have also given a memorial lecture later. He said that the Indian academics have ignored Babasaheb Ambedkar. By ignoring Babasaheb Ambedkar, we have not been able to project the kind of thought that he has given to us. In fact, had he continued with the economics, writings and teaching, in fact, basically he was a teacher. Till 1938, he was the principal of one of the greatest colleges in Asia. That is Government Law College. Government Law College, Bombay. He was the principal and he was also offered a High Court judge post and he refused to go there. That's a different story altogether. And interestingly, I keep on doing like this. He had very interesting colleagues. Students of economics know Vera Anstey. I don't know whether the present generation know about her name. Vera Anstey has written a book on Indian economic development. She was her colleague in Sydenham College, where he was working as a lecturer. And the principal of that college was her husband. Later, Vera Anstey shifted to London School of Economics. And Baba Saheb Ambedkar used to recommend candidates to London School of Economics. There was one Kadam who became something in the Reserve Bank of India, so on. So he has continued his persuasion in the economics. He was there for about 10 years in academics. He has gone to Columbia University. There are only 2 persons who have gone to America. Everyone used to go to England because they were our colonizers. Therefore, they used to go to London. Jayaprakash Narayan and Baba Saheb Ambedkar. There are only 2 Indians who have gone to USA. And there is another gentleman who is also his friend, Ram Manohar Lohia. He has also gone outside these 2 countries, gone to Germany. These are the people. See, what is happening in the mainstream discussions and debates, we bring in only Jawaharlal Nehru or his, maybe this and other kinds of things, but we never bring out the contribution of these great sons of India. In fact, they are the people who have contributed for the alternative models of development in this country. In fact, Subhash Chandra Bose, M.N. Roy, Ram Manohar Lohia, all these people used to go to Baba Saheb Ambedkar. In fact, Lajpat Rai wanted to bring him into the process, but that is a different, I think, Somsekhar, some political scientist will talk about this. Why I am interested in Baba Saheb Ambedkar as an economist is that Amartya Sen, the Nobel laureate, in one of his lectures in the United States of America in 2008, I was in the commission at that time, I read in the newspapers, has said, the father of my economics, Baba Saheb Ambedkar. People was not able to understand why he is saying. It is because it was Baba Saheb Ambedkar, not as a PhD dissertation, but not as a lecture or something else. He has published an article in 1918 when he was a lecturer. Small holdings and how to solve problems of small holdings, how to solve the problems of small holdings. In this, he has developed the idea of disguised unemployment. Students of economics know, and even others also know, disguised unemployment. And it is in this, it's a huge article, very good article. He has said that India, we have too much of agriculture. There are many people in the agriculture sector. In fact, very interestingly, I have also read, I think sociologists are here to understand, scheduled castes constitute 71% of, as per the data given by Baba Saheb, 71% of the agricultural labor force. Even today, they are around 79%. What's happening? You know what's happening in this country? When you lose job in urban area, you will ultimately get back to your village and join the agricultural labor. We have done a study also during the, I don't want to bring it here. Why I am saying this is, Baba Saheb Ambedkar, in this writing, problems of small holdings, how to solve it, he has raised the issue of how excess labor force were there. Of course, I don't want to bring the concept of law of proportions and all that here. That is a technical kind of, he was the one who started the law of proportion, law of diminishing returns and all that. And ultimately he said that unless you take away the excess labor, put in the industrial sector, you will not be able to develop the country. This is exactly what Amartya Sen, in his choice of techniques, in his PhD dissertation, noted. And interestingly, another great first black economist, Arthur Lewis, was given a Nobel Prize in 1979 for his similar work in 1954. In 1950, Arthur Lewis has also written unlimited supplies of development through the unlimited supplies of labor. This is exactly what Ambedkar has said in 1918. Development through unlimited supplies of labor, take away the agricultural labor, surplus labor, and that will not affect the total output, and put it in the industrial sector that will take care of this thing. And he has said so many things. This is one, why Amartya Sen has mentioned about it. And then there is his MA dissertation, Administration of Finances during the East India Company. Very interestingly, there is something, there is no clarity. When did he get the PhD from Columbia University? Because during that period, the fellowship was only for 3 years. And then they have, the Baroda Raja wanted him to come back. You know, I must also say something, I think many people know about the quote that he used. He got a special grant because Columbia University made compulsory to wear a suit. When I joined as a lecturer in our college also, I was very young. And my students were elder to me. And the principal asked me, unless you hold a tie, I don't tell you get into the classroom. Like that, it was a prescription that you should wear a suit. Otherwise, then he applied for it, and Baroda Raja has given a special grant of $500 for wearing a suit, or whatever it may be. In Columbia University, he has first joined as a student. There is the tripod. Economics was the major, sociology. Of course, John Dewey. And very interestingly, it is in this university, first time he has submitted a paper, you know, that anthropology paper about caste and all that. He was asked to prepare a dissertation, Seligman. In fact, Seligman was one of the greatest public finance scholars, and I studied his textbook when I was a student in the 70s. So Seligman helped him. In fact, Seligman wrote a letter to Edwin Cannon, to help this boy. He was about to produce his dissertation. This was, there is some, on the internet, there is something, some discussion is going on. He was preparing a dissertation on national dividend of India, and how to calculate, how to measure it, something like that. And those papers, he sent it by steamer, because that is during First War. And that steamer was torpedoed, and the manuscript was lost. Therefore, after coming to London School of Economics, again, it seems he has taken the permission of Seligman to write the dissertation. Later, he developed the dissertation, submitted in 25-23. The first PhD was in London School of Economics. Actually, in chronological, the first PhD was in London School of Economics under Edwin Cannon. That is a great dissertation. That is being even discussed today. That is about the problem of the rupee. The problem, everybody is talking about the problem of the rupee. See, as a student of a research scholar, what do? First you will decide what are your objectives. Then you will decide the methodology. Then you will follow a theory. This is exactly what Baba Sahib done it. His idea was to find out what is the standard rate of exchange. What is the standard rate of exchange? And they wanted to find out over a period of time, from British and even East India Company down to the 1919, what has happened to the exchange standards in the USA, England and India. He has, in fact, when he has issued the second edition of that book, he wanted to publish as a history of currency and banking in India. His idea is to find out the history of the currency and banking in India. Volume 1 is this problem of the risk. Second volume he wanted to bring out later, but he couldn't do it. That was published in 1947. Then what is the context of this paper? The problem was at that time, we have several kinds of coinages. In fact, during the pre-historical period also, we had coinage. We have sometimes used all kinds of things. But silver was coin and gold was also a coin. And what is the legal tender that was essential in this country? How this legal tender is decided? How the value is decided? When you export goods, when the British were exporting goods to England, how they are exported, what is the value at which they are exchanged, rate of exchange, all these things were discussed by Baba Saheb Ambedkar. He found that gold standard was the most stable standard. That is his interest. Why he was interested? Again, look at the way in which he was looking at even in the dissertation also, he was, in fact, Dadabhai Nauroji and others have written about the exploitation of the Indians to different calculations. But Baba Saheb Ambedkar, if you go through the dissertation, you will find that he has produced huge data from the British sources and produced that how the values, why the wares of this country are exported to England at a cheaper rate. When they will be cheaper, when your rate of exchange is lower, then more goods can be exported to other countries, and as a result of that, that is his idea. As a result of that, he said that the poor people in this country will be affected due to the rise in prices. His interest, there will be two classes in the India, like Marx, he said there are only two classes in India. The classes which are exporting the goods to United Kingdom will be benefited. They are the business people, and the poor, naturally he didn't say Dalits and others, untouchables. There was no concept called Dalit or scheduled caste at that time. They were benefited. That is his idea. And in the process, he has also, see, when you are a scholar, your first job is to review the literature already available. Literature already available. And see that they are critically examined and find out your point. But now, at that time, James Keynes was a great scholar and economist at that time. He has also first time worked in the India office, British India office. And then he has written on India, currency and finance in India. In that, as a Britisher, he was supporting the British. If the gold standard is there, British will be benefited. Therefore, he was supporting. But Baba Saheb Ambedkar idea is that no, gold standard, gold exchange standard. Keynes was supporting gold exchange standard because we have come from, if you go through the text, you will find that how different stages the standard had kept on changing. But ultimately, when Baba Saheb was writing his dissertation, gold exchange standard was in position. They wanted to criticize the gold exchange standard because gold exchange standard was responsible draining India, taking away the wares of this country and helping the British. So that is one point. The second point is through gold exchange standard, the rate of exchange is fixed manipulated by the British. If it is an exchange standard, it is manipulated by the British and they are changing the rates. I don't want to get into the technical aspects of it. That will affect the poor people. That is what he has said. But now, unfortunately, several scholars are writing against this, saying that Ambedkar was a free trader and he wanted free trade to be there. He never said that. In fact, in one of the articles, some gentleman has brought that Baba Saheb Ambedkar was thinking about Karl Menger and Cassell and others. No. It was only in the context of writing a review of Bertrand Russell, Reconstruction of Society. In that, Bertrand Russell has said that there is a tendency among the people for love for money. Love for money, that is really detracting the mainstream society and all that. In order to criticize that point, that is only 4 sentences. It's only 4 sentences. Say no. In economics, we take into consideration money, not in its own sake. We take money for the purchasing power and the utility that we get out of the purchasing consumption. That is what he said, nothing more than that. Because marginal utility theory and the neoclassical theory has not yet developed, advanced. It was in 1915, 1916, 1919, he has written that. Therefore, that is not correct. If somebody says that Ambedkar was a part of the neoclassical and laissez-faire school, no, he was never. Then another, I have two, three more things to say. Can I? Oh, yeah. Another important issue is public finance. In fact, he was working under Seligman for PhD. Seligman has written a foreword to the PhD that he has submitted maybe later. And he has taken the help of Edwin Cannon also in writing the dissertation. In this, he has interestingly brought out some innovative ideas. He found that, in fact, if you go through the dissertations, you will find, though he has left in 1970 Columbia and written the dissertation later, he has written about the diarchy. Diarchy came only after 1919. It means he has written the dissertation only after 1919. Yes, slip has come. I know the problem because university professor is supposed to stop whenever a bell is given. But got a slip. It is good. Another interesting aspect is that public finance he has written there. Now, while coming to the tracts of the time, this is very important. In fact, South Indian states are in crisis today. It is also mentioned that what are the policies that are implemented. Babasaheb Ambedkar, after 1930, he had left economics in 1925. He was also asked to give evidence before the Royal Commission on Currency. That details I don't want to. I have the information, I can speak on that, but that's not very important here because it is in the process of one of his teachers, Sir Koyaji, was also a member of that committee. Sir Koyaji started our department. We have a link with Mysuru University and Mysuru, Andhra University, because Sir C.R. Reddy was the one who started our Andhra University in 1926. Sir C.R. Reddy came and joined in the Mysuru Maharaja. He was the one who started the schools for scheduled castes in this country, in this part of the state. In fact, Karnataka is also known for two important things. I think Somsek told me that how Babasaheb came to this country. One is the first application from an untouchable for an admission into school was recorded in Dharwad, 1856. The same period in which Jyotirao Phule started schools for the scheduled castes in, not scheduled castes, untouchables in Maharashtra, 1856. That was, Dharwad was a part of Bombay Presidency at that time. Therefore, it seems Babasaheb came to see the Dharwad school. And the second one is Kolar, because I was the Vice Chancellor at Dravida University. Kolar is 18 kilometers from us, very close. All the employees were from Kolar only. So, Babasaheb came to Kolar to study Ayodhya Das. Ayodhya Das started the Buddhist Sangha. He wanted to see how it was practiced. No, that is all out of economics. But he came there. So, the other one is states and minorities. One is, after 1935, Government of India Act, dear God Gill, all economists were in a quandary. They don't know what is this document. What does it say? Because they do not know what kind of structure the 1935 Act has given. What kind of federal structure the government, British government has introduced. Therefore, they have asked Babasaheb Ambedkar to write or give a lecture, call a memory lecture in 1939. It was in 1939 Babasaheb Ambedkar clearly mentioned what is federalism, what is freedom. That's the title of the lecture. That's very huge, 40-50 pages. Interestingly, B.N. Rao, of course, Benigalla Narasimha Rao from your Kurg, Berigal Narasimha Rao, Berigal Ramarao, Berigal Sivarao, all the three brothers are very good, we are happy. But B.N. Rao was a good civil servant, we know. we train the civil servants, we know what kind of people are there. In those days, if a civil servant, ICS officer had 10 years of experience, he is sent to as a judge. Likewise, he was a very good officer, there is no doubt about it. But he was never a minister. He never studied federal finance. He never studied public economics. Therefore, Ambedkar was the correct person, and therefore he was given the responsibility. What is this federal kind of thing? The federal finance, he studied. There are only 5 countries in the world where there is a federalism. One is United States of America, Canada, Switzerland, Australia, and India. So in these countries, Baba Saheb Ambedkar studied and found that there are different kinds of things that are happening. There are certain taxes which are collected by the states, shared by the government. There are certain taxes which are collected by the central government and shared by this. Therefore, I don't want to get, now this time, madam is looking at me. The issue is here, this federal structure, Baba Saheb brought into the Constitution of India. Exactly, I am coming to the point. He has come to the, while making the constitution, he has already discussed about the federal structure and all that. After 1935 Act, there is no doubt. It was, 1935 Act was prepared by a civil servant, Lord Dundas, Secretary of State. The basic job of a Secretary of State is to prepare such document. The document was prepared by Lord Dundas, not B.N. Rao. B.N. Rao prepared only 19-page note as a summary of the constitution and conduct the service and all that. Now there is a, if you go to the your internet, you will find all kinds of things. B.N. Rao is the one who has done. No, they were friends, and he has, in fact, if there is anyone who has written all this, is only S.N. Mukherjee, Joint Secretary. We know in the government, the Joint Secretary carries the donkey's work. All the load is carried by the S.N. Mukherjee. And Baba Saheb was the chairman. He had already experienced. He was a minister. He was a minister during the Governor General's 1940-46. He had all the experience as an economist. He is also responsible for the industrial policy. That is very important. I want to close that. I'm sorry, madam. I'm taking 2 minutes, sir, because this has not been discussed by anyone. In his memorandums, etc., while he was elected by Jogendranath Mandal, very interestingly, 2 law ministers in Greater India were from scheduled caste. Jogendranath Mandal was a scheduled caste from Bangladesh, now present Bangladesh, in Bengal, Pakistan. He was law minister of Pakistan. He presided over the Constituent Assembly, first Constituent Assembly. Baba Saheb Ambedkar was made law minister by Nehru. So he was in India. These 2 were responsible in producing documents. In fact, Jogendranath Mandal got, now there is news in, you will find news that some Hindus are killed in Bangladesh. Who are these Hindus? All are scheduled castes, untouchables. Majority of the Bangladeshis were earlier scheduled caste. The Rohingya Muslims were also scheduled caste. Before they turned out to be Muslim, they were earlier Buddhists. Buddhist convert, that's the reason why even Myanmar, being a Buddhist state, killed the Rohingyas, the scheduled caste. What is happening in East India? Okay, that is a political issue, somebody will discuss. It is an emotional issue. This is the only country where a particular community has been persecuted for 100, not Jews. Jews only you will find in the old Bible. But scheduled caste, before, from the time of Indus Valley, from the time of Kiladi, Kiladi is a new civilization, that is continuation of the civilization. From Indus Valley to Kiladi in Tamil Nadu, there is a native Indians. The native Indians are continuously butchered. Therefore, Baba Saheb Ambedkar wanted to present this problem to the Constituent Assembly, not as a member of the Constituent Assembly, but as a member of the Scheduled Caste Federation. He has produced States and Minorities. A book, States and Minorities, the only document where he has given the responsibility of nationalizing land, the insurance company, and also he has borrowed because he has a lot of friends in the Labour Party, British Labour Party. Ramsay MacDonald was the first Labour Prime Minister of India, United Kingdom. He has a relationship. It has gone there. Baba Saheb Ambedkar had gone to 1930, 31, 32, and he had very good relations with them. Therefore, he wanted to bring the industrial policy resolution of 1945, British industrial policy resolution, borrowed by Baba Saheb Ambedkar, put it in the states and minorities. That was responsible for the mixed economy of Jawaharlal Nehru. Interestingly, both Jawaharlal Nehru and Ambedkar are Fabians, very good friends, but personality is different. But we had a mixed economy. We have a problem today because in the structure of the Indian Constitution, federal government should get minimum taxes. The state government should get more taxes. Now they are Article 276, 278, 279A. They were amended and the states are now given nothing. They are depending upon the state. If there is anything that we can remember, southern states, of course, even North Indian states also, maybe Gujarat also, if they wanted to remember Baba Saheb Ambedkar, why Baba Saheb Ambedkar has given these important articles in the Constitution is to give strength to the state governments, and there should be federal cooperation between the center and state. That is not happening. Therefore, this is the time that we should remember why Baba Saheb Ambedkar, through his economic writings, helped the states, helped the not scheduled castes alone, all. Article 15, 16, not for scheduled castes. They were using only one term, depressed classes. There was no scheduled caste. Scheduled caste came after 1935 Act. There was no Dalit. All the depressed classes, of course, Justice Party and all that, there are several things that we can discuss. But Baba Saheb Ambedkar should be remembered not only for his political writings, sociology, anthropology, but economic writings. Had he continued, he would have developed a school of thought that could have been what Amartya Sen is doing now, human development. He would have started, he would have been the member of that, or maybe the leader of the humanist school of economic thought. He belongs to the humanist school of economic thought that has not yet started. The elements are there in Amartya Sen and others. They are a different story. But we can discuss Baba Saheb Ambedkar as a great economist of this country, and we have lost track of his writings. It is time that we should remember, at least southern states should remember and look at his writings, how he was trying to help the smaller states and southern states. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.